Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought we would have a look at the GE premiums that are on sale for Naval and give kind of my top picks for it. First of all, we have the USS Moffett. This is an American destroyer and it's perfect for doing a lot of different dailies with it, such as, the Cape Roller one and also just the amount of damage that you can put out. And the reason is because it's rank 3, so you can do both your dailies and also specials, and it's at 5.0, which is along with a ton of other American ships as well, and including cruisers and also destroyers, which all work really well. So what is the Moffett? Well, basically, it has access to 4 dual-mounted 5-inch cannons. If you've ever used these on American vehicles, you know how powerful these are. They have an insanely high rate of fire, which means that you can continuously put out damage, and also you have HE2 kind of SP or AP shells, and then also a HEVT. So no matter what you want to do, you are going to be able to do damage to it. The secondary armaments aren't exactly great. It has 2 quad 1.1 inch guns, and then also it has 5 single 20mm, but the point of this thing is to spawn it first to dominate other destroyers and also try and do damage to a lot of cruisers and then kind of go from there. It also does have torpedo tubes, which is quite nice. The torpedoes themselves are okay when you have the torpedo mode got, but generally what you're looking at is the output of the guns and also the additional anti-fragmentation armor, which keeps you alive a little bit longer than other vehicles. So generally this is really good, and then also it has really nice rewards. This is its rewards in arcade. In realistic, they are double. So you basically get 1800 SP reward, which is pretty nuts, but for me I play arcade, which is why you are seeing that. The other vehicle for America is the USS Helena, so this is a step above the Moffett at rank 4, meaning that it gets way more rewards and also it gets way more other stuff as well. If you want to see where it is in the tree, you have the Helena here, and then you'll also have the Moffett here. Just to kind of show you about the whole difference in RP, you can see here the Moffett is 1800 SL reward and 462. The Helena is 570 and also 1800 SL. So they both have the same SL rewards, but the Helena has way more RP reward, meaning that you can get through the tech tree quicker. And you want to get to the 6.0 lineup for America. It's a lineup which has a bunch of vehicles in it, which won't survive the whole game. You will die, but you will put out a ridiculous amount of damage doing it. And that is something which these machines are really good at. They're good at getting SL, they're good at getting RP, because of the output of damage that they have. So the Helena itself, it has 5 triple mounted 6-inch guns, 2 on the back and then 3 on the front, and then also it has 4 dual 5-inch cannons in the center, plus 4 quad 40mm Bofors, and then also 12 20mm too. It doesn't have any torpedoes, but at this level, unless you're Japanese, your torpedoes aren't very good anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Now, these 152s, or these good old 6-inch guns, they have an insanely high fire rate. You can see here 7.7 rounds per minute, or 10 rounds per minute aced, and you can just fire consistently over and over and over again, and just do so much damage to whatever you're seeing. And then the other part of it is you get this HE with a base fuse, which basically has 6 kilos of TNT equivalent and also pens 80mm. So this is really good against light cruisers, really good against a lot of heavy cruisers, obviously great against destroyers and battle cruisers. The only one it struggles against is battleships, which you will run into with this thing, but you can still accumulate a lot of mission score and also a lot of damage with it. You also do have the AP if you want to bring that too, and you can basically do the same thing with this, just penetrate certain ships a little bit more and do a little bit more damage to them, and then also HEVT on the other cannons as well to go after lighter targets or air too. So this is basically just like a bigger Moffett, where its survivability isn't great. It's a light cruiser, so you're gonna have to run like the the good old like expert crew on this for crew survivability. The reason for this is if you have a look at 6.0 for America, you have the Roanoke, the Fargo, the Brooklyn, the Cleveland, the Pittsburgh, the Baltimore, and of course the Helena itself. Now, even though the Helena is a lower rank, it will still do very well in the research, and all of these vehicles, apart from maybe the Pittsburgh, are very good at outputting a ton of damage because they all have the 6-inch guns and they all have the really good fire rates, especially the Roanoke, which has access to 12 of the 6-inch guns. So if you run the Helena with these, you will just output so much damage and do crazy amounts to the enemy, and I highly recommend it because of that. The next vehicle is the Myoko. This is a heavy cruiser for the Japanese. It's a 6.0 cruiser, but for some reason it is at 5.7. This has been the case for years. I have no idea why. And it has a ton of really cool guns on it. 5 dual-mounted 203s, so you can see, 3 of them mounted here, and then also 2 on the back. It has access to 4 dual 5-inch cannons that you can see here as secondaries, and then it has a ton of 25mm on it. Now, this one actually has a really weird armor profile, but it works for the vehicle. It actually has more armor than most that you face with this thing, which is quite nice. The other thing is it does have Type 93 torpedoes, which are incredibly strong. The only thing about the Japanese is they have these really slim areas where you can actually fire the torpedoes on these cruisers. With the Ioba and stuff like that, when I played it, it was definitely a limiting factor. But you can see you can still fire them out, it's just incredibly limited where you can do this. So they actually added in the standard tech tree version of the Myoko, the Haguro, which is right here. They're basically the same vehicle, but the Myoko gets better rewards than the Haguro, which is quite nice. But if you compare them to stuff like the Tone, the Suzuya, and also the Megami mainly, this thing is basically a up-armored Megami, which is very confusing. Well, not up-armored, but like armored in different areas, and therefore, it can actually be better than the 6.0s that the Japanese have. So I have no idea why this thing is at 5.7. I've never really understood it. I know people have offered explanations, but when you compare it to the other 5.7s, apart from the Haguro, the Ioba is way worse than the Myoko. The Furitaka is also way worse. Both of these have basically 2 less turrets than the Myoko. When it comes to its main armament, they have way less armor, they have way less survivability. Some of them do have better torpedo tubes, but that's literally it. And the Akoma is just a fat ship, like it doesn't really do a lot. So with this Myoko, it's insanely powerful compared to the other options that you have in the tree, and it's very hard to justify buying anything else if you are, if you are wanting to get through the Japanese tree. I'd also say the Shimakaze is something to look at, and obviously the other event premiums, but the Myoko will do you very well for this tech tree. Then you have the HMS Diamond. So this is another vehicle that was added alongside 2 others that are in the tree. So the Diamond is a Daring class destroyer. This is a post-World War II destroyer. And then you have the Diana, and then also the Daring. Both of these are also Daring classes, so this is just kind of like a copy of them, but it has increased rewards, and also is just a fantastic vehicle. At 4.7, it's much harder to find a better destroyer than this. What this thing uses is the 4.5-inch QF Mark V cannons that you can see here. They have an insanely good fire rate of 15 rounds per minute, which means that they can consistently get off fire at targets that are around the place. You also have 40mm which turn up, and also you have some torpedoes which are not too bad. Like they're okay. Once again, with the torpedo mode, they have some quite nice range, and also they are not exactly great on the angles that you can fire them at, but since it's a destroyer, at least you can fire them all at the same time, so you can get them kind of off. But the main reason you play this thing is because of these 4.5-inch cannons. They are very similar to the damage output of the American 5-inch guns, and that's why playing something like this is definitely worth going for. It also does have some additional armor, not in areas that people shoot you, but it means that you get less ammo racked compared to others, which is quite good. And then also on the guns, you get HE, SAP, HETF, and also HEVT, so you can use whatever you want to be able to take out the targets. One of the things I like about this thing is, since it's a 4.7 and not a 5.0, like the American powerful destroyers, you don't always face a lot of cruisers. Instead, you actually get downed more into destroyers, so therefore it is able to do more damage output. And also, as I said, like the lineup it has is really good, so why not just kind of get it sorted. Also, rank 3 can do all dailies and specials, makes everything very easy. The last one is the MPK PR12412P. Now, this one may seem like a weird pick because of the fact that there are just much better vehicles in the tech tree, and that is very true. But actually grinding to those vehicles is an absolute pain, as many of you will have attested to when it comes to coastal. So picking up this vehicle in order to grind out stuff like the SKR1, stuff like the PR260, 206, and also the 206M, this is basically how I was able to kind of get up here and get the really good vehicles. So this actually paired really well with the SKR7, you know, using the 76mm to be able to hammer targets home and just annihilate stuff, especially lighter vehicles, was really fun. And then having the 30mm just to kind of sort out stuff in the back end as well, if the 76mm ran out of ammo, which would actually happen with this type of vehicle. This gun right here, this 30mm AK-630, is insanely good against naval targets, apart from if they have armor. If they don't have armor, they die instantly. So a lot of the time you can actually angle and use the 30mm instead of the 76, and you'll have a really, really good time. But just understand that that isn't always the case with, you know, this machine. That's why stuff like the 206 is usually better. But this is a fantastic vehicle to get you through the coastal tech tree, so you can get to those incredibly powerful vehicles that people always talk about, which can give your lineups a crazy advantage. It also gives you a rank 4 at battle rating 4.3, so if you run this with the blue water ships, you can give your team an initial advantage near the capture zones, and then you can swap to the blue water fleet into the rank 2 destroyers, which are all pretty good for the Soviets as well. And it means that all your dailies and specials will count in this thing, since you spawned in a rank 4. So definitely worth doing with this, and definitely worth getting sorted. And also, this is something you can do with a lot of vehicles, whereas most coastal vehicles are higher rank and lower BR than their blue water counterparts. So make sure to take advantage of that when you're having a look at these things. The mortars are pretty useless, so don't worry about those. The torpedoes are also useless, so just focus on the gun and also this one at the back. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.